Part 38. Pirate Plant Fruit. Author, Lee A Dream. Chapter 399. Luffy looked at the corpse of the king seagull on the Discovery again. Luffy said to Sanji, "Sanji, prepare to cook this giant seagull." Sanji looked at King Seagull and said, "It's really a glutton. But I should work hard to cook for the ladies." Thinking of this, Sanji immediately fell into extreme joy. But cutting such a huge king seagull still needs help. Sanji then said to the others, "I need someone to cut it. You guys can help too." "Okay," everyone said. Rog, Sauron, and the King of Ninja came forward to help. Because Luffy is too clumsy, Sanji just asks him to help with some sundries. Rog took out the great iron birch sword and swung it to cut the king seagull. Of course, it goes without saying that Sauron and the King of Ninjas are the same. In particular, Sauron's cutting of the body of the king seagull can be said to be surprisingly efficient. After seeing Zoro's astonishing efficiency, Sanji also praised, "Green algae head is really a good helper." After cutting off the head, tail, and claws of the king seagull, they threw it into the sea. The remaining feathers are plucked out, but these seagull feathers are huge and can be used to make some items. The remaining body of the seagull became 2 huge seagull legs, 2 huge seagull wings, and the torso of the seagull that was cut into several large pieces. The seagull meat was transported back to the cabin kitchen below. Although the upper deck of the Discovery was severely damaged, many of the deeper cabins below were still intact. The galley is in the deeper cabin. In the cabin, Sanji was cooking enthusiastically. Others also serve as help cooks. Sanji sang while preparing the condiments. La 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 la. Sanji, the top chef, cooked a delicious seagull dinner. Miss Nami was happy. The girls couldn't smile from ear to ear. "Robin, that's when I fell in love with Sanji." Sauron, who was helping the cook here, snorted disdainfully after hearing this. Rog and Usopp were not surprised and continued to work. At this moment, footsteps came. It turned out that Nami and Robin had arrived in the kitchen. Sanji looked at the two of them and said with a smile, "Ah, Miss Nami, Sister Robin, you are here." Nami said, "Ah, it's Robin who thinks you're working hard. Wants to help. So I'm here too." Robin looked at Sanji and said, "I'm sorry for making you work so hard." Sanji immediately said respectfully, "No matter how hard a gentleman should work for a lady, he should work hard without any hesitation." When saying this, Sanji also turned his body and made a gesture of love. Robin said, "I'll do some work anyway." Sanji said, "Miss Robin is so persistent, then you should join too." Robin walked over to a pile of dishes. "I used to squeeze in a lot of plates, bowls, and cups that needed to be washed." Robin stood before the dishes and cutlery that needed to be washed. 8 round flowers. Blooming. Robin crossed his arms and activated the flowering fruit ability. Suddenly 8 arms grew from Robin's body. The 8 arms then started in 4 pairs and started washing the plates and cutlery. Nami praised, "Robin, your method is really efficient." Robin said, "It's a small thing." Nami also started to help. But she soon acted like a conductor, directing everyone how to work. Nami is sometimes more of a real captain than Luffy. The kitchen is lively, and everyone is working together. It was afternoon again. Near the bow deck under the setting sun, everyone enjoyed dinner together. This time on the dining table, amazingly huge seagull meat was served. "It's so delicious," Usopp said as he wolfed down the food. "Bah, haha, it's delicious," Luffy said with his mouth full of food. Luffy also felt that there was not enough food on the plate in front of him, so he often stretched out his rubber arms to eat meat from the plate in front of other people. Sanji said dissatisfiedly, "Really, you are a glutton." Robin also smiled lightly after seeing Luffy eating. Sanji quickly said to Robin with a loving face, "Get used to it. Luffy here is very greedy." So don't eat too slowly. Roger and Chopper also ate seagull sandwiches and drank special drinks together. Of course, how could there be no ice cubes on this feast? Before dinner, the goddess of springs used magic to create enough ice cubes for everyone to enjoy. Zorro and the Ninja King drank ice-cold rum and ate grilled seagull steaks. The meat on the king seagull's body is so huge that it doesn't take much effort to pick out the bones. Except for Robin and a few other ladies present, everyone else was munching on the food. Laughter filled the deck of the Discovery. After the feast, everyone rested leisurely on the deck. "Okay, would you like to drink some coconut juice after dinner?" Rog asked. "Want to?" Usopp, Luffy, and Chopper yelled. Roger took a flower pot and put the coconut seeds modified with plant fruits into the flower pot. Rog pressed his hand on the flower pot to activate the plant fruit ability. A coconut tree grows rapidly in a flower pot. "Wow, that's so cool," Chopper said. "I saw that after the coconut tree grew up, dozens of coconuts appeared on it." Roger patted the coconut tree, and 2 coconuts fell from it. "Okay, if you want to drink, come and get it." "I have prepared straws here," Rog said. "I want to drink." "I want to drink too." "And I." Luffy, Usopp, and Chopper rushed over together. The coconuts are removed and slits are made with a knife. Various seasonings can be added to it according to the taste, such as ice cubes, milk, sugar cubes, chocolate and so on. "Wow, it tastes good," Luffy said. "I like it with milk." "It's good to drink something light after a meal." Usopp added milk to his coconut. Chopper sucks on a coconut in his hand. "It's delicious, I like chocolate coconut milk," Chopper said happily. Roger added sugar cubes to the coconut he drank. "Well, it's not bad. Next time I will consider directly transforming the coconut itself with sugar or milk flavor," Rog said. Hearing this, both Chopper and Usopp's eyes lit up. "That's great, save the milk." "I want to drink natural milk and coconut milk," Usopp said longingly. "I want to drink chocolate coconut milk," Chopper said obsessively. Rog looked at them and said, "I will find a way to reform." Zorro and the Ninja King were not interested in coconut water and continued to drink ice-cold rum. Sanji was very loving and offered his prepared coconut milk to Robin, Nami, and the Spring Goddess. "Thank you so much, Sanji. You are so attentive," Robin said politely. "Thank you, Sanji," said the Spring Goddess. Pirate Plant Fruit. Author, Lee A Dream. Chapter 400. After receiving the compliment, Sanji almost fainted with joy. He finally arrived in front of Nami and offered coconut milk to Nami. "Miss Nami, please enjoy," Sanji said. Nami took the coconut water and said, "Thank you, Sanji. But I still have a very important question. Can you repair the rudder on the bow of the ship quickly?" Sanji looked at the rudder near the bow. "That's right, Rog can't always control the stern rudder," Sanji said. "Okay, Miss Nami. Please enjoy the coconut milk first." "Sanji will direct everyone to do it," Sanji said with high spirits. Sanji is very, very willing to carry out the orders given by Nami. To be a gentleman is to fulfill a wish for a lady. This is Sanji's code of conduct. Sanji quickly rushed in front of Rog and the others. "Everyone, we have to do something important first. Repair the rudder," Sanji said seriously. Usopp swallowed a mouthful of coconut juice and said, "That's right." Roger said, "Well, after all, it is very difficult without a rudder." After a while, everyone got up to find a way to repair the rudder. After inspection, it was found that the rudder near the bow was only partially destroyed on the deck. Rog and Chopper were responsible for throwing away the disassembled and damaged parts. Sanji and Usopp then start making homemade rudders. Although Usopp is not a professional shipwright, he can also make some basic things. "Usopp, you did a good job," Sanji said. Usopp continued to make the rudder very seriously, and said, "Of course, otherwise, how could the Usopp factory be a super weapon factory? Usopp's factory is not really a huge factory, but Usopp carries tools with him to make various tools and weapons. With Usopp as the core, and with the help of others, a rudder was finally successfully manufactured. Then Usopp and everyone installed the self-made rudder on the original rudder. Everyone, our new rudder is ready," Usopp said. Okay, Luffy and Chopper cheered together. Usopp began to swing the rudder to control the progress of the meteor warship. Sure enough, the new rudder can also control the direction of travel of this meteor giant ship. Great, we can continue sailing again, Usopp said. With the new rudder, the Discovery can start sailing in the established direction again. But Roger and Sanji looked back. The deck of the Discovery is still a mess. And there are no masts or sails on the deck of the Discovery. Although I can control the direction now, I can only rely on the waves to move naturally. Without masts and sails, even the wind cannot do power. Sanji looked at Rog and said, "Rog, do you have any idea?" Rog looked at the messy deck and said, "It's indeed time to repair this place. And we also need masts and sails." Sanji said, "Then I'll leave it to you." Roger said, "Okay, but I need tonight. I will give you the tools to solve it tomorrow." Luffy heard it too, and said, "Rog, we're going to repair the ship again." "Of course, it's inconvenient to walk like this," Rog said. "But don't be in a hurry, after all, there are no emergencies around now." When the sun set in the sky, everyone returned to their respective rooms in the cabin. At night in the cabin, the crew of the Discovery were active in their respective rooms. Some go to bed early. Some have snacks and drinks. Of course, the ones who sleep and eat and drink are nothing more than Chopper, Luffy, and Usopp. Others are more serious. Robin continued reading in his room. There are many historical legends about navigation in the books here. Robin reads about some monster legends from the history of seafaring. In the depths of the Great Root, a huge sea monster attacked the ship. It once ate the crew on the entire ship. Robin read such a passage. After reading this, Robin seemed to feel eerie for a while. It seemed that the sea monster swam up from the deep sea. Assault the Discovery. But Robin quickly came back to his senses. "What are you thinking? Keep reading," Robin said to himself. Robin read this book of historical legends for a while before putting it away. Then she started reading a book about archaeological remains. Rog is researching and transforming plants in his own room. After all, the Discovery needs to be repaired. Like the deck, you only need ordinary wood. It's time to cut the wood into boards and nail them. But sails are a problem. The sails of such a huge ship must not only be huge, but also strong. Rog repeatedly used the power of plant fruit to transform plants in the room. Nami was reading books about sailing in the room. In a way, Nami's risk is the highest. After all, the navigator played a role in navigating the ship. If the ship is not clear about the direction, then all members will be in danger. The goddess of springs is also meditating on magic in her room. But there were also people who returned to the deck of the Discovery in the dark night. At the front of the Discovery deck, Sauron carries 3 katana swords and practices here. "Hi!" Zoro gritted his teeth and raised the barbell. This barbell weighs a full 10 tons, but Zoro can lift it with one hand. It is this kind of non-stop physical exercise that makes Sauron have a strong body. Under the moonlight and starlight, Sauron's chest and back were full of sweat. The bronzed muscular body feels very solid. Zoro is the only one among the Straw Hat Pirates who focuses on fighting. He spends most of his time practicing. Even when drunk, he can raise his sword at any time. Zoro himself is the last sword of the Straw Hat Pirates. After continuing strength training, Zoro put the barbell down. He wields a katana sword and begins to practice his skills. A person who specializes in boxing and wrestling can train with just strength. But Sauron is a swordsman, and he cultivates his strength to help him display stronger swordsmanship. The first is the one-character text of Hedeo. This knife was passed down to him by his master. And its earlier owner was not Sauron, but a senior sister who made him aspire to become the world's #1 swordsman. It is that bond and commitment that makes Sauron never forget his mission. This one-character word for peace carries Sauron's eternal pursuit of swordsmanship. He must realize that great dream. The first is the one-shot training. Sauron's strength is also the most concentrated in the state of the sword, and it is also the best attack against high-strength and high-hardness enemies. Mr. 1, who was an indestructible body of Vajra, was killed by Zorro's one-sword style steel-cutting blow. After finishing the one-sword swordsmanship training, Zorro started the two swords training again. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Pirate Plant Fruit. Author, Lee A Dream. Chapter 401. Zorro waved the Onitoru and Hedeo words, with balanced strength in both arms. Two samurai swords can be used for offense and defense. Groups of enemies besieging Sauron from the surrounding area can also be easily broken through. The last is the three-sword style, which is also Sauron's most proud fighting style. Many swordsmen are one-sword or double-sword style, or even multi-sword style. But there are only a few in the three-swordsman style. And in the three-sword style, there is almost no one else in the world except Sauron. The swordsmanship of the three-sword style is almost like a strong wind. People can't escape. Whether it is front, rear, left, right, up, down, it can be attacked and defended. While Sauron was practicing his sword skills here desperately, there was a figure observing from the dark place on the deck. After practicing for a while, Sauron stopped temporarily, and he looked towards the dark direction on the deck. "Come out," Sauron said. A figure came from the darkness. It is the King of Ninjas. The Ninja King had been watching some dark spots on the deck for a while. He now walked in front of Sauron. "It's really a good martial arts," said the Ninja King. Zorro looked at him and said, "Are you also coming out to practice at night?" Zorro's speculation is to deduce the purpose of the Ninja King's actions. After all, as martial arts practitioners, they all have certain commonalities. Even the difference between a samurai and a ninja. The Ninja King said, "Exactly. I often come out to practice at night. But I just saw you here tonight, so I just stayed for a while." The Ninja King looked up at the moon in the sky. He recalled the days and nights in Wano Country Dojo. The days of being trained by the master. The Ninja King turned his attention to Sauron again. "Zorro, let me ask you. What do you think is the highest level of martial arts?" the King of Ninjas said. Zorro looked at the Ninja King and was silent for a while. "Everyone's realm is different. Mine is the unity of human and sword," Sauron said. "The unity of man and sword is the highest state of Sauron's martial arts." The Ninja King nodded and said, "Okay." Sauron asked again, "King of Ninja, what is the highest level of your martial arts?" The Ninja King looked directly at Sauron, and said, "My martial art realm is to blend into everything. The King of Ninjas, to be a ninja is to be able to act like a ghost. So it needs to be integrated into everything." The King of Ninja also pulled out his ninja sword and said, "Would you like to have a test?" Sauron said, "Okay, please give me more advice." Zorro and the King of Ninjas wield samurai swords and ninja swords to compete under the moonlight and starlight. The night was peaceful. The time finally came to the next day, and the sun rose from the east of the sea. The sun was shining brightly on the deck of the Discovery. Sanji walked on the deck, directing everyone to set the table, and then presented the delicious breakfast he cooked. "Okay, the stewed seagull soup is here. The seagull bread pie is here. Put the juice here. The cutlery is here." Sanji ordered the actions of everyone in an orderly manner. The table is set, plates of food are served, and the chairs are pulled out. Everyone sat on these chairs and started eating. Good to eat? It's better to have something light in the morning. It would be nice if there were drinks. Everyone had a great time eating. Roger took out his pocket watch and glanced at it, only to see that it was past 8 o'clock. Next, he needs to take out the plants he researched and modified last night, and then find a way to repair the mast. Now is the time to move on to breakfast. Roger continued to eat seagull bread pie, which is stuffed with seagull meat. But sweet and salty and peppery. The taste is very good. After finishing the seagull bread pie, Roger drank coconut milk and orange juice. I still like orange juice the most, Nami said happily. These orange juices are naturally oranges from Nami's orange tree. Rog uses the plant fruit ability to promote the growth of oranges. Sanji then brewed piles of oranges into delicious orange juice. What a pity, it would be great if there was wine, Sauron said with some regret. Sanji said, it's not good to drink alcohol in the morning. You don't know the green algae head. Chopper also said, Zoro, it's really not good to drink in the morning. Zoro said no more and continued to eat. After breakfast for a while, everyone began to rest. At this time, Rog also began to say to everyone still remembers that we should repair this warship. Ah, yes, Usopp said. Roger, come up with the plan, Sanji said. Luffy also said excitedly, okay, we finally started repairing the ship. Rog holds 3 saplings in his hand, and these saplings have been specially modified with the ability of Rog's plant fruit. These are the 3 saplings. I will let them grow into huge trees to serve as masts. However, we still need to repair the damaged parts on the deck first. This requires everyone to work together. How about now? Rog said. Okay. Now everyone is in high spirits after drinking and eating. First of all, everyone needs to repair the damaged part of the severely damaged deck of the Explorer. The crowd first used attacking methods to destroy some debris, dismantled them and threw them into the sea. The previous battle left % of Discovery's deck damaged. Groups of broken wooden boards and some steel were thrown into the sea. Then Rog took out a bunch of saplings and used the fruits of the plants to grow them, and then Sauron and the King of Ninjas cut them into planks. Usopp, Luffy, Sanji, Chopper, and Rog nailed these planks. It's a lot of work. Discovery's hull can be a full 100 meters long. The extensive repairs on the deck alone took several hours. Time flickered to noon. After the deck was repaired with new wooden boards, everyone sat down to eat together again. On the dining table, there are grilled seagull steaks, fried seagull pieces, crispy seagull meat with black pepper, and braised seagull meat. There is also seagull pasta, seagull rice bowl, and seagull pie. Drinks are arguably more hearty. Strawberry juice, coconut juice, pineapple juice, watermelon juice, tomato juice, rum, ice water, iced coffee. These are enough for a big appetite like Luffy to drink enough. It's so delicious, Luffy wolfed down his meal. It's delicious, even better than usual, Usopp said. What a sweet juice, Chopper said. Finally, there is some wine to drink, Zoro said, drinking rum. The King of Ninja was very moved and said, This is rice bowl. The Ninja King ate the seagull meat rice bowl in front of him with great care. Donbari is a very common food in his hometown of Wano. However, in other places, rice bowls can be said to be difficult to eat. Pirate Plant Fruit. Author, Lee A Dream. Chapter 402. But now the delicious seagull rice bowl cooked by Sanji was placed in front of him. It was also eaten by him in one bite. What's wrong? It's so exaggerated. Sanji was surprised when he saw that the usually calm King of Ninjas was eating like this. The King of Ninja was moved and said, This is the first time in my life that I have eaten such delicious seagull meat rice bowl. Sanji's expression of being touched by the King of Ninja is also somewhat infected. You like my rice bowl so much, okay. You just have to let me eat it on the boat, Sanji said happily. Although people often praise Sanji's cooking skills, such exaggerated praise as the King of Ninja also surprises Sanji. All chefs are happy when others exaggerate their cooking skills. Sanji is no exception. Of course, he would be happier if the beauty praised him. Sanji said to the Ninja King, "Just tell me what Wano country food you want to eat. Although I have never been there, I also know some Wano country recipes." The Ninja King stood up respectfully, bowed and said, "Sanji, thank you for your kindness." Sanji said, Where? This is what should be done." Roger ate seagull macaroni with great relish. The reason why everyone is so happy to eat now. That's because everyone is tired. After a hard work, eat again, and the food will be extra sweet. After a lot of delicious food, everyone was full. After eating, Roger said to everyone, "Okay, everyone. Now it's time to install our new mast and new sails." Rog held in his hand 3 specially made saplings that had been transformed by plant fruit abilities. Rog led everyone to the middle deck of the Discovery. The deck of the Discovery has become wide and flat again after previous repairs. On the deck, because of deliberately trying to insert the mast, there are still huge holes at the bottom of the original 3 masts. Rogue got to the hollow in the middle. "Okay, everyone please wait." Rog placed a modified special sapling in the hollow. The power of the plant fruit in Rog's whole body began to activate. Green light enveloped this special sapling. Special saplings are infused with plant fruit power. Big wooden mast. The special sapling grew rapidly, quickly turning everyone from looking down to looking up. Then the special saplings grew bigger and bigger, and finally turned into huge trees 20 meters high. But this tree is different from ordinary ones. It doesn't have many branches, it's just a very thick trunk. But the top of the huge tree has 2 huge separated branches horizontally. And there is a huge green leaf on top of the 2 huge separated branches. This huge leaf is rolled up like a sail. "Huh, everyone, it's ready." Roger gasped. Rog felt a little tired after spending a lot of plant fruit power just now. Everyone looked at the giant wooden mast and sighed. Usopp looked up at the top of the mast and said, "It's really a mast and sail turned from plants." Luffy exclaimed excitedly, "That's so cool." Sauron also praised Rog this time and said, "Your stuff is really good." Luffy was already very excited, and quickly shot the top of the giant wooden mast with his rubber arm. "Go up and have a look." Luffy took his body up. After taking his body up, Lu flew to the top of the mast. Luffy stands on top of the mast and looks around. "It's so spectacular," Luffy said happily. He suddenly saw thick vines attached to the sails near the top of the giant wooden mast. "What is this?" Luffy said strangely. Rog also saw Luffy's movements and said, "The sail needs a cable to raise it. But the cable is below." Rog walked to the base of the giant wooden mast, where a knotted cable lay. Roger untied the cable, and the huge leaf sail that was originally rolled up on the top of the mast began to be lowered. These huge leaf sails unfurl rapidly. Like a huge green sail unfolded in the middle of the Discovery. The huge sails are no different from plant leaves, but they can withstand the sea breeze smoothly. Sanji said, "Not bad. But how strong is the sail?" Rog said, "It's as strong as cowhide. It's okay even in a storm." Nami said, "Great, we finally have a new mast and sail." Robin also admired Rog's modified plants. Not only can it be used for fighting, but it can also be used for other purposes. Of course, Robin's flowering fruit is also a fruit with extremely powerful comprehensive abilities. Luffy stands on top of the giant wooden mast, looking down at the sails below. There is also some sea breeze now, and the sail is blown forward. Luffy no longer used the rubber arm this time, but slid directly off the sail. "Wow, that's so fun." Luffy said. Usopp and Chopper cast envious looks. But they soon became honest again. After all, they don't have the rubber ability like Luffy. What if the number shows an accident when they slide down? Nami said to Rog, the plants you transformed are really good. But this mast is not enough for us. Roger nodded and said, I know. Rog has 2 special saplings left, and 2 more masts to repair. Around the front and rear of the Discovery's hull, Rog completed the growth of 2 giant wooden masts. On the meter hull of the Discovery, 3 giant wooden masts sailed above the sea with huge green sails. Everyone was very excited after seeing the new life of the Discovery. With Usopp at the helm, Luffy and Chopper dancing beside him. Aha, Discovery is reborn, Luffy said. I'm so happy, Chopper said. Rog and Zoro drank to celebrate, and Sanji was also very happy to talk to Nami. Everyone was very happy. Although everyone's real pirate ship is the Mary in the cabin of the Discovery. But the Discovery was given to everyone by Bear and the Drum Fleet. It symbolizes the beautiful memories of fighting side by side in the past. Now that the Discovery has been repaired by Rog using the plant fruit ability, everyone is very happy. There is the Mary inside the Discovery, and everyone on the deck, sailing to the distant sea together. Go on a great adventure. After such a period of sailing and resting, it was afternoon again. The sun's light has become very weak, and it is falling towards the west at the end of the sea. Everyone is resting and chatting on the deck. The Discovery is also much faster because of the 3 huge green sails on the giant wooden mast. Nami stood on the deck, but heard a familiar voice for a while. Nami looked up and saw that it was an albatross delivering newspapers. Pirate Plant Fruit. Author, Lee A Dream. Chapter 403. Seeing the albatross delivering newspapers, Nami smiled happily. Come down, we want to buy newspapers, Nami waved and shouted. The newspaper delivery albatrosses landed after hearing it. In the East Sea, West Sea, South Sea, North Sea, and the Great Route. There are such specially trained albatross and other birds to deliver newspapers. Nami is in charge of buying newspapers. Because as a navigator, she not only needs to simply judge the natural environment, but also needs to always pay attention to important news in the world, especially on the Great Route. The albatross also understands human language, wears a postman hat and carries a package full of newspapers. Nami did a quick search of the newspapers in the package to decide which one to buy. This information about the riots of the Revolutionary Army in the North Sea area, I bought it. This information about the Navy headquarters strengthening of military strength is also useful. This is the information about the quelling of civil strife in Alabasta and the construction of national peace. This not bad. Everyone wants to see it the most. Nami kept choosing which newspapers to buy. But her eyes suddenly saw some special photos of people. This is not a newspaper, but some photos and information about people. One of them belongs to Luffy. But her gaze quickly fell below. Capture Straw Hat Luffy, life or death. The reward is 1 million. Nami looked a little surprised. Luffy was offered such a high reward, it must be related to the Alabasta Civil War. But then she saw several other drawings. They are also reward orders. But after looking at her repeatedly, she took a breath. Because without her. Okay, I'll take these newspapers and rewards. Here's the money. Nami paid the albatross who delivered the newspapers. I bought a lot this time, and the albatross delivering the newspaper screamed happily and flew away. Nami walked among the crowd and said, everyone has good news. Rog and Zoro looked at Nami's strange expression and said, it seems there must be a problem. What's going on? Usopp said. You will know after you take a look. Nami placed the wanted poster on the deck first. A total of 4 wanted warrants were placed in front of him. Above are Luffy, Zoro, Rog, and Sanji. Wanted order. Usopp said in shock. Chopper trembled with fright and said, Am I wanted? Usopp patted his chest and said, Don't worry, Captain Usopp is wanted. I'm not afraid of anything. Because Captain Usopp is a brave sea warrior. Nami said helplessly, Watch it carefully. Luffy saw the wanted poster. The photo was still there, but the reward was 1 million belly. He said happily, The price has increased. Hey, you're not a commodity. Why are you so happy? Zoro said. But Saran also looked at his wanted warrant. The photo of Saran's arrest warrant shows a very resolute and unyielding person, obviously a swordsman who has been fighting for a long time. The Navy also has titles, and Saran is called the Pirate Hunter. The bounty offered is 8,000 million Baileys. Isn't it as tall as I thought? Saran said. Sanji said, The price of the green algae head is not bad. Let's look at Night Sanji's. Sanji looked at his wanted notice narcissistically. Above is a photo of Sanji, who seems to be smoking while taking a break. But it appears to have been photographed by local journalists during the Alabasta fighting breaks. The photo also shows Sanji's indifference and dignity. Naval text notes, Blackfoot Chef, Sanji. A bounty of 6,500 million is offered. It's not bad. I'm more elegant than Chlorella Head. But the price is less. How can I measure my value after forgetting money? Sanji said with satisfaction. Zoro and Sanji are bickering again. Rog looked at his reward order. The photo was taken during the days of rest after the civil war in Alabasta. It shows me looking forward with a calm expression. There is also a text note, Rog, the plant warrior, has a bounty of 9,500 million. The Navy's reward order also gave Rog the name of a plant warrior. Brown hair and the ability to manipulate plants have also been documented. For Rog, he has now become an important wanted criminal in the Navy. The bounty is not too low. Unfortunately, I won't let anyone get it. Rog said. Usopp's expression was a little weird, but he still became serious. Captain Usopp is not on the list. It's strange, Usopp said. What's the reason? Chopper said. Usopp said with twinkling eyes, It must be because Captain Usopp's combat movements are too fast and hidden. It is naturally difficult for the world to know the identity of the marksman. After all, Captain Usopp relies on the marksman's ability to make a living. Usopp gave an exaggerated and serious explanation. After hearing this, Chopper said in admiration, It's really Captain Usopp. That's how it is. But Chopper immediately felt strange and said, Then why am I not being rewarded? Usopp held his chin, and after thinking for a while, he said, That's because Chopper, your practice is still not enough. Captain Usopp needs to continue to lead you to a new realm. Chopper suddenly understood and said, That's it? Please give me some advice. Although there is no Usopp in the arrest warrant, Usopp seems to be the hidden master among all people. Nami looked at these wanted notices. Although these wanted notices did not include her, they also brought problems. Because the Straw Hat Pirates have become a pirate group with a bounty of hundreds of millions of Baileys, the chances of being targeted are much higher. Robin looked at these wanted posters, and she was very familiar with them. Because the wanted warrant once offered a reward for a young girl who lost her hometown with an astonishing sum. Thinking of this, Robin's face twitched for a while. But she was back to normal. Nami said to Rog and Zoro, Everyone is now a powerful pirate group with a reward of hundreds of millions of Baileys. I didn't expect it to be like this in such a short time. Sanji said to Nami, Don't worry, there are gentlemen here. Everyone will be safe. Miss Nami can also rest assured. Rog asked, Besides the wanted notice being a surprise, are there any other newspapers or the like? Yes, here. Nami took out the newspaper. Rogue, Zoro, and Usopp started reading the newspaper. Among them was, of course, the newspaper about the cessation of civil strife in Alabasta. Wow, There's a picture of Vivi on it, Sanji said. There are still faster ones, Usopp said. I saw newspaper photos about the reconstruction of the country after the peace in Alabasta. Members of the royal family and ministers of Alabasta were meeting together. Among them are Cobra, Vivi, and Run Fast. There are also Bell and Gagas. The message on the side of the photo is, after the civil war in Alabasta, the King Nefertali Cobra led the people to rebuild the country. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Pirate Plant Fruit. Author, Lee are a Dream. Chapter 404. After Sanji saw Vivi's photo, he said, "Okay, I'm going to cut out the photo." Nami stopped immediately and said, "No, no one else has watched it yet. Roger also reads this newspaper about Alabasta. In addition to the reconstruction issues after the end of the Civil War, there are also reasons for the Civil War in Alabasta and questions about Crocodile. After investigation, the Alabasta Civil War was a disaster artificially created by the former King Shishibukaisha Crocodile in order to seize control of Alabasta. Under the heroic leadership of Navy Captain Smoker and Hina, the naval officers and soldiers smashed he discovered Crocodile's conspiracy and killed Crocodile. This is the above. After seeing these, Rog also felt that the lower limit of the world government really is not. It's enough to take the credit for himself, and even claimed that Crocodile was killed by the Navy. Crocodile was obviously wiped out in Pluto's self-destruction. But it was declared like this. In order to show the capabilities of world governments and navies, they do not hesitate to create fake news like this. Usopp also saw the information. It's really shameless, Usopp complained. There is still a follow-up. He actually said that it was to reward the Navy. He promoted the Smoke Man and Sister Hina, Sanji said. Luffy asked, very puzzled, "Why is there nothing about me?" Usopp said helplessly, "Of course not." Rog said, "After all, such a huge thing happened. And the other party must not be able to announce the facts. If the outside world knows that the pirates participated in saving Alabasta, then it must be a heavy blow to the prestige of the world government. And more importantly, Pluto didn't mention anything in it. All these news need to be strictly blocked." Sanji remembered something again. He said, "By the way, that CP3. They must send the most information to the world government." A brutal civil war took place in Alabasta, which resulted in countless deaths and injuries. And staggering property damage. More importantly, Pluto was actually resurrected, although it was destroyed. But it is also an extremely dire signal. The world government must conceal the news to the extreme. Only in this way can we avoid larger chain reactions around the world. Discovery continues to sail the seas. At this time on the land of Alabasta, Arubina, which was completely destroyed, has become a huge bare cliff. The original location of the three ancient pyramids is where Pluto appeared before. Near the huge desert pit created by Pluto's self-explosion, a large number of people are on the move. Here, the commander in charge is Gendarmerie, who is wearing a red belly band and carrying a huge battle axe on his shoulder. The progress is not bad now, Jean Doan said. Next to him, there was another tall and thin man inspecting the scene with him. The tall, thin man was wearing a white scientist coat. "It's really hard for everyone to find so many wreckage at the scene," the tall and thin man said. Gendarmerie said, "It's nothing, this is our duty." Vegapunk, the chief scientist of the Science Corps, Vegapunk, was inspecting with Gendarmerie. Vegapunk arrived after Senmomaru arrived here first. The two continued to walk, and came to a pile of huge mechanical wreckage. These are all machinery made of ferrous metal, as well as parts of the casing. Gendarmerie said, "Okay, these are the remains of Pluto that have been collected so far. Vegapunk looked at these huge black metal machines and felt the ancient advanced technology. The wreckage of Pluto really makes people feel full of ancient and advanced, Vegapunk said with emotion. Seeing the wreckage of Pluto revealed Vegapunk's obsession with advanced technology. Gendarmerie on the side is always paying attention to the surroundings. He is not only the captain of the Science Force Combat Force, but also Vegapunk's bodyguard. Of course, apart from Jean Doan, there are also elite naval guards led by Lieutenant General Mole in the distance. Lieutenant General Mole led the elite navy to block the surrounding area. Prevent accidents. Lieutenant General Mole has already been in contact with Cobra, making Alabasta officials also help them. These remains of Hades are also of amazing value. Vegapunk came here in person to conduct research. After research, the remains of Pluto can play a huge role. Who wouldn't want to master the power that can destroy the world? On the majestic red Earth continent, a beautiful city surrounded by clouds and mists was built here. This beautiful cloud-shrouded city is all magnificent buildings made of white marble. This is Marijoa, the capital of the world government. Among the majestic buildings of Marijoa, a huge palace that is hundreds of meters tall sits in the center. This is the administrative palace of the world government. This magnificent palace has been built for 800 years. Hundreds of millions of people in the participating countries throughout the world are under the rule of his decrees. The perimeter of the administrative palace is guarded by an elite force of naval petty officers. No one can break into this iron wall. Deep in the administrative palace, in a large office hall, 5 old men discuss political affairs here. One of them was wearing a black suit, with curly white hair and a black hat. There is also a dark blue suit, exaggerated white hair and white beard. There is another person wearing a dark green suit, but he is bald and has an exaggerated mustache. There is another person wearing a white samurai uniform and holding a katana in his hand, but his eyes are particularly sharp. In addition to these 4 people, there is one person who is also the tallest and youngest, with blonde hair and a dark red suit. The 5 old men are the highest authority in the world government, the 5 old stars. The 5 old stars are the core power controllers of the world government. Anyone who knows something about the world government knows these 5 big figures who jointly hold the power of the world. The power of the world is controlled by them. More than 170 member countries must obey their orders. Even the generals and marshals of the Navy headquarters need to show their allegiance to the 5 of them. Since the establishment of the world government, all those who can serve as the 5 elder stars have been selected from among the descendants of the major kingdom families that established the world government 800 years ago. 800 years ago, the kings of 20 major countries negotiated together and established a world government in order to maintain the progress of the world. One of them, the Nefertari family, continued to choose to stay in their own country because they could not give up Alabasta. The remaining 19 kings led their families to live in the holy land of Marijoa. The descendants of these royal families are honored as Tianlong people. The Tianlong people are the nobles of the world. The 5 old stars are the highest power holders selected by the elite among the Tianlong people. Pirate Plant Fruit. Author, Li Er, A Dream. Chapter 405. The 5 elders were either sitting on the sofa or standing in the hall. On the table lay documents concerning Alabasta. The long-haired elder in a dark blue suit looked at these documents. He shook his head and said, "Crocodile actually caused such a big thing." The curly-haired elder in a black suit looked at these documents, sighed and said, "In the final analysis, we are too indulgent to these kings Shichibukai." The old man in a dark green suit with a mustache looked at the document and said, "But the matter has been settled. But it is really shocking that Pluto reappears in the world. Fortunately, it was destroyed quickly." The bald-headed elder dressed in white warrior said thoughtfully, "Everything is predestined. The resurrection of Pluto is unstoppable. It's just that it didn't cause more serious consequences." The blonde-haired elder in the crimson suit said, "However, in this incident, The so-called Straw Hat Pirates who suddenly appeared were really shocking. They actually acted as a pillar in defeating Crocodile and resolving the crisis. The elder with a mustache in a dark blue suit looked at him and asked, "So how do you think this will affect the world's structure?" "I'm referring to the crocodile matter. A Shichibukai like this is bound to have a huge impact on people in the world, have a huge impact on perceptions." The blonde-haired elder in a dark red suit said, "Kaiwohe actually turned a big country under the world government into a hell on earth. Many people will doubt the existence value of Kaiwohe. This matter will have to be dealt with sooner or later." The long-haired elder in a dark blue suit said, "But the Shichibukai has a great impact on the balance of the world. And after all, we established the Shichibukai. If we make our own decisions, then someone will blame us." The elder in white warrior uniform said, "It's really impossible to advance, and it's impossible to retreat." The curly-haired elder in a black suit said, "This is not impossible to solve, except for us. According to the power agreement between the world government and the affiliated countries. The World Conference, where all affiliated countries can participate, can try to abolish the system that we also think is problematic. And no one is responsible for our responsibility. After all, it is the voice of all the franchise countries." The blonde-haired elder in a dark red suit said, "This is indeed feasible. But it is better for the situation to develop further. And we have to find a way to plug the vacancy of Chiwohe." The 5 elders all nodded. Now there is a vacancy in the Shichibukai, and it will take time to resolve it. On the Sea of Great Roots, Discovery continues to sail. A few days have passed since the battle with Sky Pirate Leo. The weather is clear now, but Luffy and Usopp are sitting on the side of the boat with Chopper on the deck. They fish with very long fishing rods and ropes. Luffy waited for a long time and couldn't help yawning. "What happened? I haven't caught a single fish for so long," Luffy complained. Usopp said unhappily, "You're ashamed to say, it's not because you can eat so much seagull meat in a few days. As a result, we have no meat and can only find ways to fish. Sanji cooks the king seagull and it can be supplied for 2 weeks. But Luffy can eat so much that everyone has no meat in a few days. Vegetables, fruits, and food produced by the ability of Rog plant fruit can only survive." Usopp looked at the sky and said, "It's really bad. There are no seabirds in the sky. It is very difficult to catch seabirds now." What made Usopp even more troublesome was that even the fish in the sea were much less. It's much harder to catch fish now. In normal sea areas, 7 or 8 fish can be caught at the same time, but only 1 fish can be caught here. Chopper was also fishing hard, and suddenly his fishing rod shook for a while. "Hook," Chopper said in surprise. "Yeah." Both Luffy and Usopp are very happy. Anyway, fishing is mainly for leisure. It's just that when asking for credit, go to Sanji and talk about everyone's achievements. Sanji gave praise, but at the end of the meal, everyone had a share. So even if Chopper caught his prey, they were all happy. Chopper was about to take up the fishing rod, but he felt an incomparable weight. "Why is it so heavy?" Chopper said in shock. Chopper was forced to change form. From a short and cute human beast form to a human form. In this way, Chopper's strength increased greatly. "But it still feels heavy." "I'll help you too," Luffy said. He reached Chopper's back and hugged Chopper together. "Captain Usopp is here too," Usopp said. Usopp also came behind Luffy to help pull him. After a period of pulling, I felt a period of violent struggle below. Obviously this thing is definitely a living creature. Rog and Sauron also walked onto the deck at this time. The two are chatting and walking. But found that Chopper and the others were struggling to fish. It must be a big prey with such difficulty. "Go and help," Rog said. Sauron also had a happy expression on his face, and said, "I haven't eaten meat for a long time." Rog and Zoro both came to Chopper and the others to help. The 3 of them had already used all their strength. Rog's right arm was wrapped around the stake of the giant wood hand. He injected the power of the fruit of the plant into the stake. The stake grew a plant arm the size of a crushing cannonball. The hand of the giant tree can also adjust the size of the manufacturing plant arm according to the power of the plant fruit used by Rog. Roger helped grab the fishing rod. With Rog's support, it's even more powerful. The four of them worked together to pull the prey up. Zorro was observing from the sidelines. The prey of such enormous power will certainly not be small things. After bubbling for a while, several giant squid tentacles rushed out from the sea water. The squid tentacles grabbed onto the side of the Discovery with their suction cups. "It's a giant squid." Everyone was surprised. Usopp said happily, "Finally something to eat." The giant squid no longer struggled, but simply took advantage of the situation and climbed onto the explorer. Long live Usopp, Chopper and Luffy hugged each other and cheered. But the giant squid was only pulled up, not subdued. The three of them forgot this. The giant squid's eyes were full of rage, and he waved his huge tentacles and grabbed Chopper. Then he grabbed Usopp again. "Help!" shouted Usopp. Chopper was also frightened for a while, but he quickly swallowed a Rambo ball. For enhancement. Chopper quickly transformed into a fluffy giant furball. In this state, even the giant squid's tentacle suckers couldn't catch Chopper. Chopper flicked off the giant squid's tentacles and landed on the deck. Usopp is not that powerful. He struggled desperately, but the suction cups of the giant squid's tentacles became tighter and tighter. Pirate Plant Fruit. Author, Lee A Dream. Chapter 406. Sauron quickly pulled out Onitsu, aimed at the tentacle and hit it. Usopp finally fell to the deck with the severed tentacles of the giant squid. Rog quickly strengthened the fruit power of the plant, and the giant tree hand quickly grew bigger. Now Rog's giant wooden hand grabbed the head of the giant squid. Zorro took advantage of this moment and drew out all three samurai swords. 3 katana swords are used together. "Kill this giant squid." The mortally wounded giant squid fell to the deck. After killing the giant squid, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. "Ah, it scared me to death," Usopp said, shaking in shock. Zorro said, "Who made you start celebrating before you were sure that the squid was completely eliminated?" Chopper also returned to his human beast form. Looking at the giant squid that was killed on the deck, he also felt lingering fear. "The things in the sea are really scary," Chopper sighed. Rog restored the giant wooden hand to the stake. "No matter what, we finally have prey. We have meat and fish," Rog said. Luffy jumped up happily and said, "It's really good. I'm going to tell Sanji." Luffy quickly ran over and called Sanji. "Sanji will come over later to check out the giant squid." Sanji inspected the giant squid that had just been killed. "Not bad, very fresh squid. I'll make a seafood dinner for everyone later," Sanji said with satisfaction. Wait for Sanji to start carrying the giant squid with the others. Sanji suddenly looked at the back of the giant squid strangely. "What's wrong?" Rog said. Sanji said, "Let's take a look." Both Rog and Usopp came near the back of the giant squid. I saw a huge wound that was bitten off on the back of the giant squid. The wound is still fresh, and it seems that it has not been bitten off for a long time. Usopp looked at the shocking wound and said, "It's so cruel, what a terrifying sea creature." Chopper said, "It's scary." Rog said, "The giant squid was so violent after it came up just now, could it be that it was attacked by some creature before?" Usopp raised his chin and said, "Could it be some kind of whale? There are often huge whales fighting giant squids in the sea." Luffy looked very angry at this time and said, "You mean this giant squid was bitten by a whale?" Usopp said, "It's speculatively possible." Luffy gritted his teeth and said, "Damn it, the whale actually snatched the meat from me. If it bites such a big piece, then I will eat less." Rogue, Usopp, and Chopper were all ashamed after hearing this. Luffy thought so for the first time. Usopp quickly complained, "What a glutton." Sauron looked at the giant squid's wound. "This wound is indeed not small." "What's the bite?" Zoro said. Sanji said again, "Green algae head, can you help me cut it?" Zoro said, "You are ordering me." Luffy said, "Zoro, cut it for me." Sauron said, "Okay." Zoro wields a katana to help slice open the giant squid. Then Sanji and Rog moved the giant squid meat away. In the sea below the explorer, a huge creature, or something resembling a creature, was swimming in the deep sea. Some marine fishes that swam nearby ran away quickly when they encountered this behemoth. Just the terrifying appearance of this big guy is enough to make ordinary creatures feel terrified. It's something that looks like a whale, but is a metal man-made object. Or this is a special submarine. Inside the cockpit of a whale-like submarine, a burly man in a coat stood in the center. The strong man looked unhappy and said, "Why does the prey you got run away?" A person operating the submarine in front immediately explained, "Captain Ahab, after the giant squid was bitten by the mechanical jaw of the submarine, it broke free again. It floated all the way to the top." The burly man named Captain Ahab is the captain of the submarine. Of course, this submarine does not belong to the Navy or any official power of the joining countries, but is privately owned by Captain Ahab. And also carried a group of pirates. Captain Ahab is the captain of the pirates. He also has a skull pattern of a pirate captain on his coat. Just now Captain Ahab ordered the crew to manipulate the submarine to open the mechanical mouth and bite the giant squid. Because this submarine needs to capture creatures from the ocean as supplies. Damn it, even the mechanical mouth of our most powerful beluga was let go by the giant squid, Captain Ahab said. The crew member said again, however, "Captain Ahab, I have a new discovery. The giant squid that escaped just now floated up quickly despite the pain, and finally encountered a huge ship." Captain Ahab's eyes lit up and he said, "Really? Let me see." Captain Ahab passed the observation device in front of the console and looked at the discovery above. At this time, it was still on the bottom of the sea, and it was possible to see the white hull below the discovery. Captain Ahab exclaimed, "Such a huge ship. It is at least 100 meters long. There are very few naval warships here. And this kind of naval warships are usually escorted by quite ordinary Navy sailboats. Then it must be a large merchant ship or a cruise ship. Well, continue to follow. I will use the periscope to observe in detail later when I am ready to float up." "Yes, Captain Ahab," said the crew. Captain Ahab was a little happy now. Although he let the giant squid escape, he accidentally discovered such a large ship. "I ran a bait, but it led to a mountain of gold." "Ha ha ha," Captain Ahab said expectantly. The pirate group led by Captain Ahab is on the bionic submarine Moby Dick, which hides in the depths of the sea on weekdays. Then attack passing merchant ships and cruise ships. Discovery is already the next target of Captain Ahab and the pirates. The Moby Dick began to float on the deck of the Discovery, after waiting for a while. Finally, the long-awaited seafood feast officially started. "Everyone, please enjoy my squid feast," Sanji said. The tables were filled with delicious squid feasts. "Wow, it's so delicious," Luffy said. "So rich," Usopp said in shock. The table is filled with various squid delicacies. There are grilled cuttlefish with delicious sauce, cuttlefish balls wrapped in butter, dry roasted black pepper dried cuttlefish, and delicious cuttlefish stew. There is also plenty of bread, cakes, and fruit and rum and juices. Sanji said happily, "Miss Nami, Sister Robin, Goddess. Please enjoy." Started. Luffy rushed to the dining table first, sat on a chair, and began to munch on the delicious squid balls. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Pirate Plant Fruit. Author, Lee A Dream. Chapter 407. Usopp also tasted the dry roasted black pepper dried squid. Delicious. Usopp and Chopper said in surprise. Rog cut squid yakiniku with a knife and a fork. After the squid yakiniku was smeared with delicious sauce, the rich meaty aftertaste lingered in the mouth. It's really good. Roger began to eat with a big mouthful. Sauron also tasted roasted squid, and he also praised, "The cook's dishes are very delicious today." The Ninja King picked up another bottle of rum, ate and drank with Zoro and Rog. Chopper was eating delicious cuttlefish balls and cake. Nami tasted squid stew under Sanji's love and praise. Robin tasted fruits and cakes and was not that fond of meat. The spring goddess also tastes squid stew. Everyone is very happy to enjoy the squid feast. It was already noon, the sun was shining brightly, and the surrounding sea was calm. However, behind the hull of the Discovery, a periscope protruding from the sea is observing this huge warship. Below the surface, the submarine USS Beluga extended its periscope to watch Discovery. In the internal wheelhouse of the Beluga, Captain Ahab is using a periscope to observe the Discovery on the sea. "I really didn't expect this ship to be a warship," Captain Ahab said. Captain Ahab looked through the periscope and saw some of the heavy guns on the side of Discovery's hull. Heavy artillery can be fired from side windows. This warship is completely a heavy firepower warship. But Captain Ahab also discovered something. For example, the mast and sail of this warship. It looks like a huge tree with huge leaves. And it is still very strong like the real mast and sail, maintaining the sailing of this warship. What's going on? It's really strange. Captain Ahab also felt incredible. The crew member in charge of driving said, "Captain Ahab, how is the situation now?" Captain Ahab said, "There are very few people on this warship now. And the mast and sail are extremely strange." The crew member said, "Then can we release the frogmen for reconnaissance later?" Captain Ahab said, "Well, send in the frogmen to investigate. Wait until the huge underwater mouth of the Moby Dick opens again. This bionic submarine is very similar to a whale, but it is made of hard metal. The mouth can be opened like a whale's mouth." Inside the open mouth of the whale, there were two frogmen wearing black leather diving suits. They wore diving exhalation masks on their faces connected to oxygen bottles on their backs. The two frogmen began to swim out together. In addition to carrying breathing apparatus, the two frogmen also carried special weapons. They each stowed their weapons beside the oxygen cylinders on their backs and at their waists. The two frogmen swam together and they made it to the starboard side of the Discovery. After reaching the side of the ship, the two frogmen quickly put special rubber suction cups on their feet and gloves. With this rubber suction cup, the two of them began to stick to the hull of the boat and began to climb up. Using their hands and feet alternately, the two frogmen gradually climbed to the window on the side of Discovery's hull. That is, the windows through which the rows of cannons were fired. After careful observation, the two quickly entered inside together. Inside this deck is the firepower room, and rows of heavy artillery are aimed at the sea outside. "No problem, continue investigating," said a frogman. The two frogmen took off the rubber suction cups on their hands and feet. Then the breathing mask was also taken off. They took out the submachine guns carried on their backs again. Opening the tarpaulin on the submachine gun, they picked up the submachine gun and started careful investigation. After careful investigation, it was determined that there was no one in the fire room on this floor. They then began to scout the upper floors. On the upper floor are numerous rooms and corridors. Apparently here, and no one else. The two of them went up another floor, and here was the kitchen and warehouse. The two continued to scout the warehouse, where food was stored. There are also warehouses for storing other sundries. But what caught their attention the most was a locked warehouse. There must be something important inside. "You stand guard first," and I saw the lock open, a frogman said. Another frogman stood guard, and he took out a dagger from his waist bag. This is not an ordinary dagger, it is a dagger made of wapol alloy which is popular in the world. Ordinary locks can be sawn off. The frogman began sawing through the lock with his wobbly dagger. After a while of cutting, the lock was sawed open. The frogman opened the door of the warehouse and entered inside. I saw a group of neatly arranged wooden boxes inside. The frogman entered inside, first found a wooden box and opened it. I saw a group of ancient statues inside. He guessed for a while that these ancient statues were probably antiques. Otherwise, how could a ship place these somewhat broken statues in a warehouse? Antiques can be considered a big gain, said the frogman. The frogman opened a wooden box next to it. A golden light shone before his eyes. This wooden chest contains clusters of gold bars. He picked up the gold bar, observed and stroked vigorously. My God, this is really a real gold bar, the frogman said with trembling hands. In the past, when attacking various merchant ships, such boxes of gold were never seen, at most they were valuable goods. The frogman put down the gold bars, and then opened a wooden box. Now he was completely stunned, there were actually groups of gold bricks inside. Gold bricks, how is it possible? The frogmen were all shocked. He even rubbed his eyes in disbelief that the gold bricks in front of him were real. The frogman picked up a gold brick to examine it. It is indeed a heavy gold brick. The frogman opened several wooden boxes one after another. There are gold items inside, which can be said to be priceless. The gold is really amazing wealth. I didn't expect there to be so much gold on this warship. And if it looks like this, the box must be an antique. Otherwise, how could it be put together with such precious gold? Frogman said. The situation is obvious now, since the box statue is placed with this group of gold. And there are some hieroglyphics on the statue. This can prove that those statues are antiques. This can be said to be an amazing discovery. I will contact Captain Ahab immediately, the frogman said. He took a phone bug out of his waist bag. Start communicating. Hey, Captain Ahab. We have now entered the interior of this warship. An astonishing amount of gold and antiques were found in the warehouse on one of the floors. There are whole boxes of gold bars, gold bricks, gold products, and antiques. Frog human communication channel. The other person was surprised for a while and said, "It's good to have gold and antiques. You can continue the investigation. There may be stronger enemies on this warship." Pirate Plant Fruit. Author, Lee A Dream. Chapter 408. Yes, said the frogman. Then hung up the call. The two frogmen left the warehouse and continued their investigation. From this deck there is another deck above. The upper level is very dilapidated. In addition to the exterior of the building, the structure inside was severely damaged. How could this happen? The frogman said in surprise. But the deck above them, the outer deck of the ship, seemed to be newly boarded up. The two frogmen held up their submachine guns very cautiously and continued their investigation, going up a staircase to the outside. Arriving at the hull of the ship, you can see the huge masts and sails. Two frogmen got a close-up look at the masts and sails. The mast does not look like a processed mast, but a thick tree trunk inserted directly here. Although the sail is huge, it looks like a huge plant leaf. When the two frogmen were very cautiously moving on the deck using the mast and facilities, they saw people having dinner at the front of the deck. Both of them were very cautious when they saw this situation. They didn't see anyone along the way. There is a group of people having dinner on the deck. One of them took out a small telescope from his waist bag to observe. I saw a group of young people eating happily together at the dining table. Seems to be off guard. Rogue and Usopp were talking, laughing, eating, and drinking. Usopp begins his powerful account of the brilliance. What is the giant squid caught today? I think I fought with whales in the deep sea back then. At that time, the whales ate everyone else, except Captain Usopp. But Captain Usopp is not afraid of danger. Single people hold harpoons in the deep sea and fight fiercely with whales, Usopp said immersively. Chopper listened with longing. Luffy listened to Usopp's narration with a bit of seriousness while gobbling. As expected of Captain Usopp, Chopper said adoringly. Luffy asked, "So, is whale meat delicious?" Usopp shook his head and said, "Captain Usopp fought the whale in the sea. He fought desperately and finally killed the whale before he escaped. The whales all sank into the bottom of the sea. I can't get the whale meat either." Luffy was a little curious and swallowed all the roasted squid in his mouth. Luffy asked curiously, "Then I have a plan. Let's catch a whale to eat whale meat for a limited time. Let Sanji cook it." After hearing this, Chopper said expectantly, "Yes. It's so cool." Rog also smiled after hearing this, and said, "Hearing what you said, I also want to eat whale meat. Okay, next time I will catch whales and eat meat." "Okay, it's settled like this. Captain Usopp will lead everyone to capture the whale who is the king of the sea," Usopp said. "Zoro is drinking with the Ninja King." But at this time, the Ninja King suddenly felt something was wrong for a while. He cast his eyes far across the deck. But there was nothing there. Zoro asked, "What's wrong?" "It's nothing, it's my illusion," said the Ninja King. The King of Ninja felt that someone was looking here just now. Behind the mast on deck. The frogman is hiding here nervously. The observation just now was also very careful. After all, they don't know the strength of this group of people yet, so they are very cautious. The two frogmen looked at each other and quickly moved very carefully away from the front of the deck. They were cautious when they got to a safer position around the back of the deck. A frogman stands guard. Another frogman starts talking to Captain Ahab using the phone bug. "Hey, Captain Ahab. Now we found a group of people on the uppermost outer deck of the warship. They are eating. But we can't judge their strength. Please give me instructions," the frogman said. "It's like this. Even if there are few people in such a warship, it should not be underestimated. So I will send support troops later. You continue to observe at a safe distance," Captain Ahab said. "Yes," said Captain Ahab. Then they hung up the phone, and the two frogmen observed the Straw Hat Pirates from a distance. In the cab of the submarine Beluga following discovery. Captain Ahab was very happy. "Everyone, the warship we found contains amazing gold and antiques. And there are very few people who are members of this warship," Captain Ahab said. The other crew members were also very happy. "This way you can make a fortune." "Congratulations, Captain Ahab. Long live the Moby Pirates. This warship actually has something of such great value." Captain Ahab said again, "Wait and prepare all the frogmen of the first and second squads to attack. After boarding this warship, surround and subdue the crew." Captain Ahab had a greedy look on his face. Hordes of gold and antiques will become his and Moby Dick's fortune. The submarine Moby Dick is about to capture the prey at sea, the Discovery. A crew member asked Captain Ahab, "Captain Ahab, I have a question. There are not many other members on this warship, so do we need to go through so much trouble?" Captain Ahab said, "Although the other party has not many members, this ship is actually a warship, and there is so much gold and antiques. The other party cannot be a very simple person." "That's right," said the crew member. Captain Ahab's judgment was absolutely correct. Soon they will be even more surprised. The target of their attack was actually a pirate group with a bounty of hundreds of millions of belly. The mouth of the Beluga submarine opened again. 40 fully armed frogmen came out one after another. These frogmen carried more heavy weapons than the previous two. The frogs swam out of the submarine one after another. The frogmen quickly started swimming up to the side of the Discovery. The frogmen have rubber suction cups on their hands and feet. This group of frogmen quickly climbed up from the side of Discovery's hull. The frogman troops entered from the fire room on the floor where the cannons were placed. After reaching the firepower room, the frogman troops took off the rubber suction cups. After taking off the rubber suction cups, the frogman troops also took off the breathing masks. These frogman troops numbered 40 in total. Among them were 30 frogmen wearing leather diving suits, armed with submachine guns and grenades. There are also 10 senior frogmen wearing full-body steel diving suits. It looks like a fully enclosed armor. This is a steel diving suit specially used in deep sea and high water pressure areas. The defense is also very strong during combat. The weapons they carry include shotguns, submachine guns, shoulder-mounted bazookas, and some heavy weapons for hand-to-hand combat. However, these weapons and equipment all have the words "Made in Dressrosa" on them. Normal frogmen and advanced frogmen march together inside the Explorer. The two frogmen who had infiltrated earlier maintained communication with them.